Our wastewater treatment plant here in Madison gets 40 million gallons of water per day and is really good at cleaning up before it goes back into the environment. The treatment plant is operated by the Madison Metropolitan Sewage District, and you'll hear me say the district. That is meant collectively to refer to all of the communities that are part of, that are tributary to this treatment plant. So it's about 30 communities, and it goes as far north as like Windsor and DeForest, the village of Dane, out to Middleton on the west, Cottage Grove on the east, and then south as far as around Lake Kegonsa and Verona. Our mission is to protect public health and the environment. And we do that every day with a passionate team of resource recovery experts. The water comes in dirty. We use physical settling, a biological process, and disinfection to clean that water up to the standard of river water. So the water that we're putting back out into the environment isn't drinking water, but it is safe enough to swim in or fish in. For many, many years, the treatment plant has been able to build to accommodate new types of treatment that are needed, increasing regulations, different kinds and new kinds of pollutants, challenges with rising costs, and of course, climate change are all causing us to look at that model, operating model, and say, wow, there's limitations on what we're actually able to do with physical infrastructure. This residency is an example of how the treatment plant is starting to look outside of our plant fences and seek solutions in the communities that we serve. Find out how each and every one of us, what role we play in water sustainability. This residency is all about engagement. It's about meeting people where they're at and talking about water. The launching point for all of this activity, and where Kathy and I are located right now, is a building called Shop 1, and that's at the treatment plant. It's literally the closest building to our gate, closest building to the community, adapted many different times for different needs of the treatment plant, and that need right now is community engagement. The name Shop 1, it's kind of a two-part thing. Shop, because that's what this building was. And we really, like, there was literally like cars getting worked on, like a mechanic shop not long ago. And we really like the concept of a shop, a place where you get to work, a workshop. You roll up your sleeves and you get to work. One comes from One Water, which is this concept that all the water is connected. The goal of Shop 1, the building, is to engage and empower water stewards. And you'll notice that that's also the goal for the Artist and Educator residency. The building itself, we're considering a launching point for the residency and for programming we might have related to One Water. You don't necessarily need to use the physical space. We wanted to give you a tour and an introduction to the building just to, I guess, start thinking up possibilities and see what's going on here and start thinking about how you might want to use the space, if at all. It is not required, and that's not something that will be judged during qualifications or during, well, it will be during the final proposal, but during qualifications, there's going to be no information asked about that. So I'm going to pivot to going through the residency. I'm going to go through it at a high level. Looking for artists and educators to design a one-year residency that connects community members to and in conversations about water and water stewardship, builds community understanding of the value and essential water plays for us all. To be eligible, basically you just need to have a connection to the Madison area and be an artist of any practice or discipline who has community engagement, knowledge, experience, and ability. This is a one-year program, and it's based off of an approximate 300 hours, so 5 or 6 hours a week. We understand that different projects might take that time and use it differently. The schedule is intended to be very flexible. This is the district's first time doing this, so our expectation of working with artists is fairly hands-on. We want to have check-ins at least every other week. The honoraria for this residency is $25,000, and there will be an expense budget available as well. How you're going to start out in this process is through a request for qualifications, and we'll get to what that looks like and what's required for submitting that in just a second. But basically the qualifications from whatever we receive for qualifications, a panel will review and rank the proposals based off of scoring criteria that's also on this website. Then, so those qualifications are due November 11th. From there, 3 finalists will be selected. Those finalists will be invited to submit a full proposal. And the full proposal is where we get into details like, what are you going to do? How much is it going to cost? When are you going to do it? How are you going to do it? For the qualifications, this first round that's due November 11th, we're really just looking for your experience, trying to get to know you. What is your practice and why you're excited about this position. So I'm going to go to the next page, which is learn more and apply. You can see on this page pretty detailed criteria about how the proposals will be judged. If you didn't see it the first time you went through, there's a link here. It says download information here. And that has something that you can print if you want to see the full details. It's the same stuff that's on the website. So if we go to apply here, you'll see the form, which goes through what we're looking for. We need your name, email, and phone number so we know how to find you. Then your applicant narrative and cover letter. Now we have a lot of flexibility in how we can accept proposal or accept qualifications. If you wanted to type your answers out in this box, you can do that. Or if you wanted to upload files, like maybe you want to write a PDF or scan something in or send us a video or an audio clip, you can upload those files here. The format is totally up to you. But these are the questions that you should answer. Why are you excited about the residency? What are you bringing? And how do you see this contributing to your growth as an artist? Work history. We're looking for information about how you work in community and what are your skills. Now it suggests a resume or CV, but again, we're very flexible on format. We want people to do what works for them best. The main thing is to keep it under that 900 words, excuse me, or 5 minutes. We don't want to overload our panelists. Work samples. You can upload whatever kind of files you want here, but it will be helpful to our panel if you include some information about what they're looking at and how that might apply to this residency. So you get 4 files to upload. So how what those files are and how they look is up to you. Additional information, this is totally optional, but if you want to include any of your social media handles or websites, you can do that. Connection to the Madison area. This one is our eligibility question, and it can be as simple as I live here, I work here, I attend school here. So you don't have to overthink that one, but anything else you want to add in, if you want to tell us a little bit about community organizations you're involved with, this would be a place where you can do that. Demographics are totally optional and will not be provided to the panel. This is purely for program evaluation for us as we are looking at, are we doing a good job of getting the word out? Who are we reaching? And for assessing if we have any barriers to application. Last thing you need to make sure you check is this consent form, little box, don't miss that, which is just saying that you're presenting your own work and that you understand we're a public organization. We are a government organization operating in Wisconsin. We're subject to open records laws, which means that the information provided could be requested through open records processes. Five or 6 person panel, and it's going to be 2 district staff and 3 community members who are artists of different disciplines. Panelists will be listed on the website. It's up to you. Not like I want to type it all out on the computer and you'd rather just talk through it. That's acceptable. Yes, we can use all of the shop one space. Right now, there's only a couple employees that are working part-time out of the space. There isn't a ton of employee through traffic here. The building is mainly used as storage. When we have tours, large tour groups, this will be our kickoff point. But besides that, there isn't a ton of activity in the building.
Here, and we have the treated, one thing that's intriguing is that we've got treated effluent here, right under the building. But if you can use river water for what you're doing, then you could be using that, the whole reuse of water from potable city water in here too.
I think as long as we're getting permission from the relevant owners of those materials, especially for the use of those, if they're being repurposed, then I think that as long as we make sure that something is backed up and documented, doesn't have inherent physical value as it is, then no, that's a possibility of the building. So the basement is basically a storage room right now for historical odds and ends. So our operations and maintenance staff would get, for example, parts of pipes or pumps, and knowing that there was this vision to use this building, potentially it had been thrown out as kind of a museum space at one point, and so they were saving these kind of artifacts, as it were, about the treatment plant. So there's a lot of different knickknacks, wastewater related knickknacks down there. So we had questions that whether that the objects in the basement are planned specifically for. No, they're basically just there, if you do anything at the plant, there are safety considerations. So that's first and foremost. We can't be doing anything that's going to compromise our operations or endanger anyone who's coming near that display. So it would have to, come about through a discussion with operations staff, engineers, our safety coordinator, but there is a potential. So don't dismiss anything, we're open to ideas. do have a plan to give a more in-depth plant tour to the 3 selected finalists for the program. So technical questions about the wastewater treatment process in the district will arise at that stage of the process. Right now, we don't have like a clear path, just like anybody. We don't have a clear idea of what's going to go on with COVID or how long restrictions will last. The things to know is now is a pretty early stage of this residency program. We're at this qualification stage. And so, you know, the reviewing panel will be looking at the qualifications submitted by the applying artists, and not thinking about the feasibility in great detail. It's more looking at how good a fit the applicants are for this residency program. So it's a little bit farther off when we'd actually have to hash out those details about, you know, what it's going to look like with COVID and engaging with the public and so forth. It is good to know that the district is being pretty cautious. And in fact, we've been a little more conservative than county guidelines because much of our staff are in-person essential workers. And we really can't afford an outbreak happening at the district because you need people constantly monitoring and operating the plant. And so just with that in mind, for in-person events and lifting COVID restrictions, that would be the principle the district is operating under. You know, this is a very new thing for the district. Like I said in the first question, this is our first time doing a residency program like this. And so it's a very different focus area for wastewater treatment plants. Some staff are unsure about it, not really sure, you know, what this program's all about, how it relates to our core mission, but there's a lot of curiosity. And so that was kind of the takeaway that I underlined this morning, that staff are really curious what this is going to look like, you know, how it's going to benefit the district. So I think there's, you know, just a lot of communication to be done to staff to let them know the value of this and how it relates to the district mission. That's really our team, primarily the pollution prevention team. We are basically the outreach team in a general sense. So we do community events and displays in non-pandemic times. We give a lot of tours, we coordinate other, similar to a docent program, we have some dedicated tour guides that do nothing but give tours for the district. We don't have set expectations for, you know, your breakdown is this percentage versus this percentage, but you should know that community engagement should be at the forefront of what this artist does. That engagement piece is more of an expectation and something the panel will consider more so than a tangible end product. So recognizing that there are a lot of different disciplines and media of arts, that it doesn't necessarily have to be, here's your work product, here's an end product, but really the important, I'm not going to say deliverable, but kind of outcome is that enhanced community engagement and building those connections. There are other nationwide artists in residence programs at other utilities. So yes, you know, we can certainly help with building connections or helping with establishing those collaborations to share ideas.
Locally, we have the Bubbler and all of their projects through the Madison libraries. They were really inspiring to us as a way to engage community and activate space at the same time. We're inspired by the Fargo project, which was a placemaking project over a long period of time. A little bit different than what will be possible through this one-year residency, but we were really struck by the depth in which the artist in that project was able to really work with community to articulate a vision and then promulgate that. The water bar in Minneapolis was very inspiring to us. It's kind of like a flight of drinking waters and just a way to pop up in different community events, have conversations about water. Another project from Minneapolis that was inspiring to us is Amanda Lovely and what she did as an artist in residence there with the pop-up meetings. So she just went to the place where the work was supposed to be taking place, and she brought a popsicle truck with her and talked to people. And then the last one that we were inspired by, what is the San Francisco Recology, Recology. And the whole idea is to really help engage residents to know like what goes in what bin, and to think about, I guess, rethink what is trash and their relationship with their garbage bin. And so in that same way, we're trying to do similar things where to instigate behavior change, I guess. Here, the Springboard for the Arts is an organization that put out a manual for artists working in community. It's a great resource, and I encourage you to check it out.
We would be flexible about this. The district is pretty flexible in employee work schedules as it is right now with COVID and so forth. But the district does want to engage, in person, face to face, just to stay up to date about the projects and just in good regular communication. And so there's an expectation for check-ins at least as frequently every 2 weeks, perhaps more frequently.
You have the option to write text or to upload files. We're giving you an and/or, so you don't have to do both. And same thing with those places where it says you can upload up to 4 files. That's the maximum. You don't have to load 4 things. So if you put it all in one package and you just put that one thing up, that's totally fine.
It's up to you. You can upload an image file like a JPEG on its own, but if you feel that the image would benefit from an additional description, then it would be beneficial to make a PDF of that work with a caption that explains any context that you want to include. We basically said, within Dane County, and in that field, you can basically just state, I live here or I work here, or just describe otherwise your connection to this community. This criterion isn't scored, but is more information for the panel about the connection with this role, or the artist with this community. So I'm sure that some of you and some of the other interested artists have something in mind. This is a little early for specific project ideas, so we're not specifically looking for, a proposal, this is what I would do. But if you do have an idea for a direction, you can mention that as your vision in the interest statement, talking about why you're excited about interest in this position, if that helps illustrate the answer to that question. Or in the work history section, if you have a project that's related to an idea that you would have for this residency, feel free to talk about how that might translate to future work here.
Everything's due by the close of business day, 5 p.m. November 11th. That's the request for qualifications, which you can submit as that web form. Or if you're looking to try and submit it a different way, like through mail or email or something, regardless, it's due November 11th, close of business day. If you have issues loading or filling out the form, or you need help with that, we are available to help. Just send an email or call. And please do so sooner than the deadline, if at all possible. But November 18th is when we're going to contact our 3 finalists. We'll also contact everyone else who applied and let them know that they're not going to be moving to the finalist phase. Then if you are selected to go on to the finalist phase, you have the weekend basically to decide, do you want to do this? Is it right for you? And to fill out some paperwork so that we can get you your compensation for developing the final proposal. You're basically then have about a month to come up with the final proposal, which is all the details. And the winner will be selected. All finalists will be notified on December 21st. We would be looking for the artist or educator in residence to start sometime in the new year, 2022. We have January 18th as our date on the website, but that's pretty flexible and it'll probably be a little bit of a back and forth for those couple weeks with contracting and just figuring out all the details and how we're going to make it happen. So you can expect sometime early 2022 to be the start time.